Hey everyone, welcome to the Campaign Corner. I'm Sherry Wassell, and today I have with me Andy Meehan. He's running for U.S. Congress from the great state of Pennsylvania in the 1st District. Andy owns his own investment advisory firm. He's a long-term native of the area, and he's running to be the Republican in office that will support our great president. Andy, welcome. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Sherry. You are exactly right. Glad to be here.
I'm glad to have you. Now, normally I don't like to have any division in the Republican Party, but in this case, the incumbent Republican for Pennsylvania District 1, Brian Fitzpatrick, he not only votes with the Democrats about 70% of the time, but he recently made a comment about who he's voting for or not voting for. Tell us about that.
Yeah, kind of amazing, Sherry, that at this point in the campaign, a week and a half before the election, or right after he took the opportunity to take a photo op with President Trump, and then turned around and didn't sign the letter that all the other congressmen signed, he goes on the Inquirer last week and gives me a gift that just is huge, which is he comes out saying that he's undecided on whether or not he's going to support President Trump in November or Sleepy Joe Biden. He's gonna wait and see how the campaign unfolds and then make a decision. Well, Trump supporters in PA01 have already decided that Andy Meehan is the man for Congress, and I believe I'm going to win this primary in a huge upset.
Well, I definitely am rooting for you. We've had Andy on here on our show before, and we're glad to have you back one last time. But primary is June 2nd. So let's jump right into your talking points. Tell us your thoughts on the pro-life movement.
Well, I feel that Roe versus Wade was a jumping of the guardrails. I feel that there is nothing in the Constitution that gives the federal government the authority in the absence of a law being passed at the federal level. So the courts should have kicked this back down to the states for them to deal with. Personally, I'd like to see a heartbeat bill get put up there. I believe that life begins at conception, but I think we can all agree that when your heart stops beating, you're dead. So we should all be able to agree, at least, that when your heart starts beating, you're alive.
Sure, and the government should not be funding these abortions, regardless of your beliefs. Talk to us about anti-sanctuary that you are in your city, and you had firsthand experience. So there's a grandmother that was killed from an illegal alien who had a sanctuary in your area.
Yeah, Sis Davis was a grandmother run over by an illegal alien drunk driver who had 2 prior DUIs and was never deported. And this poor woman, was killed tragically and horrifically, and her family had to deal with the fallout from it. They're still dealing with it. I still am in communication with them. And my opponent did or said nothing about it. He was silent on that. He's been silent about sanctuary policies. And I am not going to be silent on them. I am against them. If you don't like the laws, then change them. You can't ignore them.
Yes, definitely. It's no reason whatsoever for any lawmaker to allow illegal aliens to have sanctuary. Sanctuary should be for citizens and their protection.
Yeah, that's right.
Let's talk about fair play. This is an issue that's been coming up more and more lately, and you're opposed to it. Biological males competing in female sport events is just part of it, but tell us about your thoughts on that.
Well, this time last year, my opponent came out and sponsored the Equality Act, which is a rather Orwellian term for this bill, which would have prohibited legally school administrators and college and high school administrators from prohibiting biological males from competing with women on the sporting fields and vying for their athletic scholarships and sharing their locker rooms with them. I don't see anything equal or fair about forcing women to compete against biological males who have had testosterone pumping through their bodies for years and years and years. It's an unfair advantage, and I see nothing fair or equal about it. I will sponsor the Fair Play for Women Act, which would make it illegal for anybody receiving funding from the government to enable biological males to be playing against the females and to share their locker room safe spaces. And it would also take away Title IX funding for colleges that allow that as well.
Sure, this is something I never thought would happen, and I don't want anyone, regardless of their belief or their personal lifestyle, I don't want them to be hated or discriminated against, but I certainly do not support this sort of legislation just so far swinging the other way. It is absolutely unfair.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with bigotry or hatred or anything like that. You want something that's fair, make it fair, and women competing against women is fair, and the other way is not.
Exactly, exactly. Now, you signed a tax pledge. Tell us about that.
Yes, very early in my campaign, I signed a pledge for no new taxes. My opponent has sponsored legislation increasing taxes, including taxes on carbon for climate change. This is a globalist type position. I don't agree with it, and I'm against the carbon taxes, and I want to see our taxes flattened. I'd like to see more flattening of the tax, code, and less taxes and less regulation.
So the pledge actually states that you oppose any new taxes or any tax increase that is not offset by equal or greater tax reductions.
That's
Is that what I
correct.
get? Is that
Yeah,
good? Good.
I
And
believe we have a
the
spending
carbon tax.
problem. Yeah, I believe we have a spending
Sure.
problem in this country, not a revenue problem. So, yeah.
Very good. Now let's talk about your primary, June 2nd. We were talking a little bit offline. The polls are open for voting in person. That's correct?
That's correct. Yes, the polls are open for voting in person. There has been some reduction or consolidation of polling locations in the other part of the district in Montgomery County, but all the polls in Bucks County here are open. Yes.
Okay. And tell us about some of the ways that you have had to modify your campaign with this stay-at-home order.
Yeah, under Governor Wolf's edict telling everybody to stay at home, we've had to get creative. So what I did was I took a page out of the Blues Brothers movie, and I mounted a bullhorn loudspeaker on my car, which is wrapped up with my advertising. And I go around the county playing patriotic music and having fun with the people, talking to them while I'm driving by, interacting with them. We have a little gaff thing, like a little hook grabber, and we can pull up beside them and stick it out, and it goes about 6 feet out. They can get a business card from us while social distancing. So we've been having a lot of fun with this and trying to be creative, and people are noticing that the resourcefulness and creativity of a private businessman is a lot funner to look at than that of a bureaucrat and former FBI guy like Brian Fitzpatrick. There's quite a difference in our style.
Yes, very much so. It's very creative. It's very encouraging to hear that. Now, your opponent obviously has a lot of money. So he's the only opponent that you have for the primary. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And when you're out before the shutdown order, when you were out talking to the voters, what are one or two of the most important things that continually came up among them?
Well, the thing that they say up and down the county, from Croydon to Quakertown every day when I meet people is, number one, he's not his brother, rest in peace. His brother, Mike Fitzpatrick, was a very well-respected and liked congressman in the district, and Brian is nothing like him. And the other thing that they say, he's not a Republican, which we know because he told us himself he doesn't want to be labeled a Republican in the last election cycle during the debates. He asked not to be labeled a Republican. So those are the two most common things that I hear about my opponent, and I have a very distinct differences with my opponent on policy and just the type of people that we are.
Sure. Is there a particular policy issue that your constituents would like to see addressed?
Well, there's a whole bunch of them. The guys in the gun clubs can't stand him because he lied to them about voting for concealed carry reciprocity. He votes for red flag laws and gun bans. So those folks are upset with him. The pro-life people are upset with him because he's voted to fund Planned Parenthood more than any other Republican. He was one of these guys that went to work right away early in the Trump presidency to block him. He voted for $0 for the wall. He came out against the president when he pulled us out of this disastrous Paris Climate Accord. He scoffed at the president and told the president that James Comey is a man of integrity and to stop attacking the FBI, when we know now what was going on. I knew back then what was going on because I was keeping a close watch on it. The congressman didn't even know he's an FBI corruption specialist. Go figure that. But so there's many, many things. The list goes on and on, Sherry. I could ramble on about this for 3 hours probably.
Yes, it is shocking to see a voting record that low for a Republican. I mean, it is in the 30 percentile range. The last I checked, it was up to 30%, up to 36. It has been as low as 18% on average of voting in support of not only our president, but voting with the rest of the Republicans. So that means he's supporting Nancy Pelosi and the leftist agenda, and we do not want that. So tell us a little bit about your strategy moving forward. Like, what are you going to do just from now up until the actual time where the votes the ballots are due in and the last vote is cast?
Well, today I'll be up and around the county on the Meehan County Stomp with my bullhorn, meeting people again. Tomorrow from 11 to 1, we will be in front of the Trump store in Bensalem, Pennsylvania, where fake Fitz, the cardboard cutout of my opponent, will be there, and we will have a debate because he chickened out of debating me back in March. He refused to debate me, and so we're going to have our own debate there in front of the Trump store with all of our followers and fans, encouraging them to come down and support and open up local business, which is opened up, and to have some fun and commune together. And then I'll hit the road with my car again tomorrow, and I'll do it again on Sunday, the same thing at the Trump store and hitting the road. And then Monday, we'll be working hard to get all our signs and our packets and our logistics out there on the road. So that's pretty much how the next 3 days are going to go.
Wonderful. Well, this interview that we're taping now should broadcast on Monday, so that's the day before the election. Is ballot harvesting allowed in your area?
It's allowed.
Is it legal?
Well, mail-in ballots are legal in Pennsylvania. Unfortunately, the Pennsylvania Republicans, rolled over on this for some, for some other things that they wanted, and I disagreed with it. But we'll have to wait and see. I mean, there's been a lot of mail-in ballots sent into the county, as I understand it. So that favors my opponent. But I think we're going to get out the vote, and we're going to have coverage at the polls, and people are going to come out in support of the president and vote Meehan.
I'm definitely rooting for you, Andy. Thank you so much for joining us again, and wish you the best, and really appreciate you sharing all of your platform with us.
All right, Sherry. Thanks again. Great to see you again. Hopefully next time I see you, I'll be on the ballot for November 3rd.
I hope so. Thank you to our audience as well for watching us today.
Hi, I'm Andy Meehan, your next congressman from PA District 1. In case you haven't heard, I am doing something that is extremely difficult, but absolutely necessary. I am challenging incumbent Congressman Brian Fitzpatrick for his seat in the June 2nd primary. On the issues, the congressman and I are worlds apart. Fitzpatrick did not vote for President Trump in 2016, has not committed to voting for him in November, and he went so far as to join Nancy Pelosi and the squad to label President Trump as a racist last year. I campaigned for President Trump in 2016. I will support the America First Trump agenda. Fitzpatrick voted for $0 for wall funding, and he supports amnesty for illegal aliens and sanctuary policies. I will vote to fund the wall, and I oppose amnesty and sanctuary policies. Fitzpatrick voted for gun bans and unconstitutional red flag laws, whereas I will vote to preserve our Second Amendment rights. Fitzpatrick voted to give a legal right to biological males to access women-only spaces, such as locker rooms, and to compete against them for athletic scholarships. I believe that women deserve safe places in society and fair competition in sports. Some establishment leaders of the Republican Party believe that you are obligated to support Fitzpatrick out of party loyalty. However, he isn't worthy of that loyalty, as he has not demonstrated it himself, as evidenced by his obstruction of the president and our Republican agenda. As the nominee in November, I will stand by the president and be the ally that he needs in his second term. I will fight for the values that Republicans say they stand for, and will be a fierce opponent of Nancy Pelosi and the radical left socialist agenda that leads down the road to ruin. But I can't do it without your help. Please go to my website, Meehan2020.com, to help me raise the money to win this race. Also, please hit the share button to let your friends and family know how important this race is. I'm Andy Meehan, and I approve this message. Thank you.